Okay, it's Friday, and you are tuned into the very podcast called We Don't Play. And you're also here with me, Favour Obasi-ike, in that rhyming. And you're in the marketing club today. And I will say happy Friday. Thanks for being here, right? Thank you for connecting. And thank you for also learning some new things because there's some things I'm going to be sharing with you that you'll be doing, you'll be creating. And the creation of content is something that will give you the value over time. And what I'm referring to is what we're going to be talking about today. Social marketing versus email marketing versus billboard marketing. You are going to be having a great time with me today because we're going to be talking about some things that you're going to have to do at some point in your business, for your business, right? And with your business in mind. Because we think about social media, but we forget that social media starts with social, right? It starts with socializing. It starts with two or more people. Social is not one. That is solo, not social, right? So we have to think about the way we are building social, with the people we're socializing with. Comparison is a contrast, and we have to make sure that those two things work together to get the best result. And we have to do those things consistently. So we're going to cover that today. And this might be a really quick room. So we might do this until the top of the hour. So I'm excited about this. Hey, John, happy Friday. Thanks for joining.
Happy Friday to you, Favor. And this is one of my favorite topics because it's worked very, very well for me and continues to. So look forward to contributing.
Thank you, John. Let me ask this too to kick it off. Before doing it, what was the success metric? And after doing it, what made you realize that there was a difference in the two?
Well, for radio standpoint, one of my duties was running the Facebook pages for the different radio stations. And it's about creating a community of consumers of your content and driving them to the radio station. But most importantly, driving them to the website because the website was another revenue stream. And that's one of the tools is right. There's different strategies that can help you with that. But it has been very effective for me with the podcast. Number one, that's how a radio station listened to an episode, got on radio. Now we're on 125 stations. It's grown. Part of what's grown the podcast, which generates revenue, to a 0.5% ranked show. And every time I do a post on there, I see results. But the number one thing that most people don't get, Favor, and I'm sure you can talk about this, is they're so busy talking about themselves and their product or services, they lose sight on building the social factor, building a community of consumers. And with more people that follow you on Facebook, for example, the bigger, if you do 10% conversions, then the more people that follow you, the bigger your conversion is going to be. The more you talk about you, especially in the early stages, the less people you'll attract.
That's a fact. Thank you so much for that, John. It's true. You have to consider these things and, ask yourself these big questions because if you don't answer them, somebody else will, and that's your competitor. So we're going to really dive deep into this today. Thank you so much for that input. Pierre and Amen, thanks for being here. We'd love to hear from you. Anyone would like to chime in on the topic? When you hear this topic or you see it, what comes to you?
I'll chime in if I can. Good morning. Hope you can hear me
Yeah.
okay. Let me know if I'm in red banding or in the matrix. Real quick, when I see social marketing versus email marketing versus billboard marketing, um, they're different channels. They're different ways of kind of getting awareness for your branding message, your product or service offering, but you can use analytics as sort of the central core for kind of seeing how those channels are working for you. In fact, you should be. Even with billboard marketing, and I get people that sometimes are surprised by that, but it's just because something is on a billboard doesn't mean that it's not measurable. The trick to this is that each one of these channels are your referral channels. These are channels where you may be running maybe a digital ad if you're talking about social media. Email, you have an audience that is following your email for news and updates about your product or service. Billboards, if you have a landing page or a QR code on that billboard, that's kind of starting to be a trend in the last, I would say, really even before COVID, probably the last 5 years or so. Definitely with QR codes, I've seen one or two billboards that are like that. Those things should be leading to a landing page, and you can use that landing page as sort of a measurement of activity, how frequently people are coming, or the number of frequency you see towards that page can give you an indicator of how frequently people are responding to that billboard message. Um, those three things, social, email, and billboard, and it doesn't mean you have to do all three all at once, but all three of them have potential to have anything with a tag connected to a link, and then you can actually measure if people are coming to your website through those channels, and that can give you a sense of where to. That saves you time in figuring out where you need to spend time from a marketing standpoint, what's leading to activity. Particularly with billboards, if you're spending money on advertising, you can kind of figure out where to shift that advertising a little bit. And then the other issue is that the other benefit I should say is that you have, like the biggest one is that it really gives you a sense of where you can get your message consistently out for anything, particularly if there's emergencies too. So I would say those three things when I see it, it is part of your marketing. It should be a part of your marketing at some level, and you use your analytics to help you to figure out over time what's the responses and frequency that you're getting. So I'll say that and land here to let anybody join in.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's a big one. So you have to think about those shifts, especially the QR codes. If you're at the mall, if you're at the airport, if you're at the bus shelter, if you're at the grocery store, if you're at a gas station, if you're at a medical, office, and you have a QR code, and that QR code has a UTM parameter linking to something that allows people to interact with you after they scan, it's a big deal because it's not just about scanning a code and showing up on your homepage. It's scanning that code and leaving the information or doing a quiz like the one up here. You can take this quiz, or I can call it a survey, because I told one of our clients I would like to take this quiz. And she was like, "No, I don't want to take the quiz." I was like, "Okay, take the survey." She's like, "Okay, I'll take the survey." Because quiz sounds like, I don't want to do it. But at the end of this, you're going to get a result, and that result is going to also tell you what you're lacking and what you could be building on and what you could be getting better at. So these are some things that I will be talking about. So if you just want to start off by looking at your business and looking at your connections, this is the first place of contact to look at, so that you can not just look at your business from within, but look at how people are seeing you from outside. So we're going to touch on that today, as well. So thanks for that, Pierre, as well. Thanks for joining, Chris. Eman, we'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts on the topic? Over to you.
Hey, Favor. Hey, Uncle John, Pierre, Chris, and everybody in the listening lounge. Actually, I would love to, I'm much of a solution focused, solution oriented, and data focused person for some extent. So I would love to define which one works for which purpose. If you define your purpose, for example, your brand awareness, your increasing your sales, increasing your network. What d- why are you using specifically this method? Either it's the billboard marketing, the email marketing, or the social media. Uh, if you ask me personally, I'm gonna use uh, some of social media and email marketing, and I will refer to something that you said earlier today, which is your own. owned platforms and shared platforms. Social media are platforms that you don't own it, and that's one of the threats or the weaknesses in social media, that you don't own the platform, you don't know what's going on in the back scene, you don't know all of the things actually about the privacy policy, the data usage, and so on and so forth in that uh, um, perspective. But on the other hand, you have um, high reach, and that's just uh, something that you have to put in mind when you are calculating your ROI formula. Because if you are going to and I'm specifically speaking about paid marketing. You will be you need also to calculate your ROI in each um, category of those three, so you can see the visibility. Does it work right or wrong, or do you need to go furthermore? Any development and so on. So that's about the social media, but of course it has a lot of strengths. Direct communication, the message goes straight to the recipient in inbox or seen in on the news feed or something like that. It has actually high ROI potential, especially Pinterest and Instagram. Recently, TikTok is going through the same funnel. Also, it's easy to have it personalized, so you can do the personalization easily by the segmentation. You you have measurable metrics, and you don't pay a lot for it. But as we spoke about this before, the weaknesses is the maintenance, the spamming filters, and the risk that you don't reach people um, according to the algorithms, and that from this perspective. And the need to always create new compelling content that is sometimes depend on either the trend or your industry trend. And I honestly prefer the industry trend more than the trends that is going on around, because that can hurt your brand image, your brand name, more than it can help. And if you're gonna follow a trend, you gotta be very wise choosing which one to follow.
Thank
The
you.
billboard marketing, really, it's high visibility, but you've got to do it really smart uh with intention, because people will always remember the visuals that in there, so you cannot real it's high risk for me. It's high risk. You want to know your brand message. Where are you putting this? Is it fitting the culture or not? So many stuff that the, the competing with the outdoor ads, it can be fatal sometimes. Other thing is the email marketing, which is the one thing that you really own. You define your segmentation, you define how much you spend, how where to reach, and the best part of it, that you own this data. And I think Pierre will agree on that part in favor, because own data can be used in so many different ways. As Pierre for the previous room today about PR, the data can be used uh, as different way of publicity, but because we are speaking about specifically marketing, we're not going to speak about this now. but actually it's one of the best things that you can have. You that you have your own data in there stored, and the conversion rate of the email marketing, maybe a little bit, just percentage less than the social media in some industries, not everyone, not everything, of course, but um, for example, the digital products are higher, achieving higher conversion rate and selling rate through email marketing, because people can see directly your product, and can the call to action is immediate. So that's just my opinion about uh, a quick comparison between the three. Back to Favor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eamon. Uh, okay, go ahead, Pierre, and welcome, Julie.
Hey, Favor. I wanted to build a little bit about.
Hey, I just had to
Oh,
yell.
go
I
ahead,
just had
Julie.
to yell, "Hey, hey guys! I haven't seen you in so long. I miss you."
Yeah, it's been a
We
minute.
miss you too.
I want to build a little bit of what Ayman had talked about. Ayman, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I feel like I need to think about that. Um, Real quick, she's absolutely right that with social media, there is this sort of this whole thing about ownership and purpose. There are different purposes among the three channels. But I'm gonna share something else that may help a little bit in making decisions too. First of all, on social media, Iman's right. There's this sort of lack of ownership on social media to an extent. But it's also a risk because this is where people, if you are selling any sort of product or service, there is an expectation now, and this comes from 15 years of social media of usage, that people are going to shop or purchase or discover your product or look for some mention of it through social media at some level. Now, social media is broad. There's a, where playing on Instagram can be very different than playing on YouTube or TikTok. But at the same time, those sort of channels are important. I mean, it's kind of almost expected. She's right that there's a lack of ownership, and that becomes a problem if you've established a strategy around YouTube, Instagram, and they've made feature changes that impact how you deliver things. Like, for example, on X for Twitter, which was my jam for several years before Elon took over it. Um, I could use TweetDeck and Hootsuite pretty easily. But when they decided to throttle the API access, that changed the number of tools that were available and really became a restriction in certain for certain analysis that you want to do. If you want to do sentiment analysis, something something a little bit more advanced, with the APIs restricted, it would have driven up the cost or even be impossible to do the analysis. So she's right. There is a little bit of a balance that's there. And I would say if you're using any of your social media platforms, treat yourself like a publicly traded company and look at what has changed. Every quarter, kind of take a look at where you are, which is sending the most traffic to your website, and getting a sense of what your teams or what you are doing on each platform. And that can dictate to you which one's more valuable. Um, Second piece, email. Again, email is it's becoming sort of the pound cake of desserts. If everything in marketing is a dessert, um, I'll take that back. Not even pound cake. I would say even the Jello. And here's why I say that. Um, uh, it's pretty much it's one of those things that you don't you don't think about it. You wouldn't drive into Chicago. See what I did there, Julie? You wouldn't drive into Chicago to get Jello. You drive in for
Thank you,
cheesecake.
Pierre. Thank you, Pierre.
There you go. You would drive in for cheesecake. You would go to, hey, the Cheesecake Factory. There's certain desserts that kind of are a little bit more well known, and probably people get a little bit more excited about. Chocolate, that's another one. Um, but at the same time, Jello has its own purpose. It's still great. Still great with whipped cream. Still great with, and it's reliable. And it's for a lot of people, it's okay, for serving it at families, barbecues, that type of thing. And that's where email comes into play. You have an audience that is already has decided that they have a vested interest in who you are and what you're offering. And your messaging there will be maybe a little different than what you have on social media. Social media, you're trying maybe getting people at the top of the funnel. Definitely, if you're doing SEO, there's a blending there because some of the social media can appear on search. So you got a little bit of this more messaging for top of the funnel, whereas email, there's more than likely you're getting people in the middle or maybe close to the end. So you have that within there. Last piece, Billboard. I'm going to talk about this real quickly. Because this is really, Billboard's really a relatively new. What's happened is that billboards have been around for a long time. There's even some states in the United States that you can't have a billboard by a highway, for example. I think that's Vermont, but don't quote me on it. Um, but the point is that we've had it for a while, and what's happened is that our media channels have expanded over the years, going from TV to cable to now with the internet. And because of it, all these billboard companies have started to attract all these different types of businesses. You go around Chicago, there are a lot of billboard advertising for lawyers. There's kind of a reason for that, basically. If you're stuck in traffic, a lawyer will have something that says, hey, get into an accident, call me. There's one called Top Dog that I remember seeing off of 294 just the other day. But my point is that these billboards can be used to drive awareness. There are services now that will allow you to purchase a billboard pretty affordably. I think Blip is one of them, if I remember correctly. And you can create a landing page, a very simple like URL that covers that can take that gives that person who sees the billboard, they can do a quick search on their mobile tablet or even in their car the next time they're stopped, and go to your landing page and get more information. That can be almost like a custom channel in and of itself in some ways. I also mentioned about codes, and I have to go back and look. But I do distinctly remember a QR code on a billboard, which kind of surprised me a little bit. Um, but that's also a combination of QR codes being much more easily accessed through a smartphone, and the fact that, again, going back to my earlier point, billboards now, there's just more media and more of these billboard companies and platforms are trying to get more and more people to advertise on billboards and take up space, basically. So I would say, the short of it is each one of these three, you're going to have three different types of it's not set in stone directly, but you have three different types of opportunities for messaging. And I would say probably not everybody here is going to be using all three. It's probably would cost a lot, but at the same time, you may have some combination of the three in what you're doing, basically. So I'll say that and land here to let others speak, and I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. I'm so happy I'm not even speaking as much because I'm actually listening because I've been talking for hours all week, and I'm glad I'm even listening to you, just hearing back, because that feedback is very important to me. And there's something that Eman said and something you said I want to highlight. Eman said something about high risk, and my I literally had like a high radar like antenna, because the reason why it's high risk to the person who's investing is because they don't have analytics behind it, right? They don't have data behind it. They don't have information, intelligence, audience, consumer behavior. They don't have those things behind it. So if I just paste a board and say, hey, we're on exit 5, okay, that it doesn't really say much. But if I say, you know come get your tires fixed, and then I tell you where it's going, you're going to be like, tires fixed, what's that? Then you look at the brand, you take a picture. Before you know it, you're on Google, and now you're looking for the address on Google Maps. And then that high risk turns to low risk. So, but the reason why it's also high risk is because you're on the wrong billboard. You're probably in the wrong zip code. You're in the wrong county. You're in the wrong district. You're probably in the wrong city, the wrong exit. The wrong places that you should be right on if a keyword research was done initially, if intelligence was done initially. So when I'm running ads to this place, it makes sense. I was talking about running ads for a client, and she's into real estate. So it's either you sell a home, three homes that are worth 350, or sell two that are worth 750. Where would you rather spend your energy on? And I was like, we rather use this zip code because this is where they live. They have a LA Fitness here, they have a Kroger here, they live in this district. They'll definitely see it before they go to work. If we're doing it in the morning, people like to work out in the morning before they go to work. So that intelligence tells you things. If you now look at it as a pyramid, right? I would say social media would be at the very bottom, and then email marketing will be in the middle, and then billboard marketing will be at the top because you got to see the billboard. So, and then I'll invert that billboard, or I'll invert that, that pyramid, right? So instead of it being social media on the bottom, it's billboard marketing from the top. If you flip it, right? Just picture this. So if you have a billboard and somebody sees that billboard, the next thing that they want to do with that billboard is either to take a picture or take action. Either of those two is an action taken. And when you take that picture, the next thing is you want to Google that image, or you want to scan that image, or you want to write down what you're seeing. When you look at that, the next thing that you want to look at is, where is that website taking me to? Where's that QR code taking me to? Right? Because you only have a few seconds to do it. Another reason why it could be high risk when you look at that pyramid is you're probably running ads at the wrong time of the day. Because if you're running ads at a time that it is the most traffic, then it works. If there's no traffic, then your ads are not even being seen because people are driving 80 miles per hour, right? People are driving and they're going top speed. So they can't really see your ad that's flashing at the top. But if you do it at a time that they have to actually stop, then you get their attention. I used to use Blip back in 2017, 2018. It's a great platform. I like it, but I found something that was like on steroids that changed the game completely, because when you run ads, yes, it's self-service. Yes, you can run your own budget, just like Facebook ads or any other ad platform. You can run ads successfully. But do those ads you run successfully meet your goal? And could you run the same ad at a lower cost and still meet that same goal? That's usually the cost. Because the answer or the
That's the
question,
ROI that I was
exactly.
speaking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That return on investment, that return on ad spend. So if I'm focusing on educating people or telling them about my podcast and I have a billboard right next to Whole Foods, what does that say about my show? Or if I'm right next to, a McDonald's, what does that say about my show? So it's not even the billboard, it's the ecosystem, it's the surrounding,
Yeah.
it's go
I,
ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I was going to say, there's people I don't think that understand the billboard part as well too. That's the thing that's interesting. I love that you're right about the ecosystem. I love that you bring that up. I love your explanation too. There's actually a billboard. I'm going to call this. It's a car dealer, BMW of Cherville. They have very nice or humorous billboards, but some of them were aimed on 294 over in Illinois, like very far away from where the dealership is. And I think part of the problem is that people tend to think of their advertising as, if you see this, they will. It's almost like from legacy of TV. If you see this ad, um, then that's going to be like the whole swing for everything. But it really is an ecosystem, and you have to think about more critically about where your message is being sent to where things are actionable. And I think that's the part that's the part I love that you're capturing here and what you're saying ultimately. And I think most people don't understand how that messaging is has shifted for a lot of things. So I'll say that and land there. So.
Yeah, no, thank you for that insight. It's big. You have to look at those pictures. Like, drive around that state or that city or that road or that street and see if your ad would make sense there, if it feels good there. When you want to buy a house or you want to get a commercial property, before you even sign that dotted line, you've looked at the surrounding, you've looked at, is this a place where my what do they call 'em, my clients or my prospects or my customers would love to be? Do they feel comfortable? Can they get out of their car and feel like they can take a picture?
Segmentation analysis, Favor, the segmentation analysis.
Mm-hmm.
That's a part of the ecosystem, and I believe it's top priority if you are gonna do, as you said, based on the ecosystem, you're gonna have to do this before you choose the location of this billboard, because that's where segmentation works. Back to you.
Yeah, you're right on that. And segmentation goes into your emails too. You want to segment into different buckets. Like, and I don't mean just opt-in first time bucket. That's why I put my link in the chat. If you want to use Flowdesk, please click that link and you can, start it off and you'll see what I'm talking about. They use something called magic links. So let's say you click on this link above and you want to learn about advertising workshops. You get into the advertising workshops segment, right? Now you get information about the workshops according to advertising campaigns, right? That we'll have, or anything that we're going to bring up. Now I send an email, and when I send that email to the same person in that same segment, and I talk about three different things: AI with, let's say, Copilot, then I can say AI with, let's say, not Bard, Gemini, and I'll say AI with Cloud or Perplexity. Now, they want to know how they can use those AI, tools or AI softwares for their advertising. Now, if I've sent an email to this advertising segment and I'm talking about how they want to advertise, and I've given those three options, and maybe a fourth one could be just traditional advertising, and then they click on each and every one of those listings, what I've done is I've gone even deeper into segmenting, because yes, they're already in the advertising, segment, but now I know that these people want to learn about Perplexity that can help them with the advertising. So the audience becomes more detailed into how you approach and how you connect with them, because you can say download this PDF. Out of 1,000 people, 20 people download it, but 200 people saw it. So those 180 people, why didn't they download it? Send another email to them with a video to let them know. So you're kind of like funneling them in, you're churning them in. You buy something for $2, each of them is 30 cents. You make your profit, you put it back in. So you're doing the same thing with email marketing, but even at a larger scale. I put a link in the chat too before the Flowdesk link, just to show you how important it is to factor in email marketing for your social media, especially right, if you have social media and you can use your email to boost your social media presence. For example, if you post something on Google as an article, in that article you have an Instagram reel or an Instagram post. Inside that post there is a song, or there's something that people need to see. I'm not going to send my email list the direct link to Instagram, because when you do that on your email list or within your email list, if you ever try this out, you've probably done it before. I have too. When you send an email with the actual Instagram link inside the email, you've given Instagram domain authority leverage without you even realizing it. This is like a reality check, because when you start getting people clicking, like if there's headline news, if there's breaking news, and everybody's hitting the same link, remember what happens with the Olympics, what happened with the debate? Everybody's clicking, 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 because we know we have an hour to watch this thing. Or if the soccer game going on, football game going on, a basketball game going on, the activity is on that thing, right? So if there's a Super Bowl going on, that's what's happening at that specific time. So if you know at that specific time you get the most activity and you're sending them to the wrong place, then you're missing the whole bus. Like the boat has sailed, the ship has sailed. Because if you did the same thing and you sent them to your website where that Instagram page or post is, you get first party data. Now you've given all your party data to Instagram instead of giving it back to yourself. So the social marketing is inside the email marketing for the billboard marketing to identify the brand. So your social media should be the last place they should be. Like if you get a follow on social media, that means the person must have checked your website, must have opted into your community, and must have followed you on social media. If I'm talking to you at an event and I'm connecting with you, we're going to exchange contacts. The last thing I might do is follow you on LinkedIn. So social media is like the last thing to do before you move out of that room or before you move out of that moment. So to capture the moment, you have to capture the contacts. And when you capture the contacts, you capture the conversation. So when you're creating conversations over time, it helps. It really helps with you with your business, right? Because if you look at social media organically has a 2 to 4% open rate or view rate, right? According to emailtooltester.com. Please read that article, right? I've always said this. They're actually giving social media grace because like the lifespan, I don't even call yeah, let me say this. The lifespan of an Instagram post is anywhere between 19 hours and maybe 72 hours if it really passes that point. But 6 weeks after that, that post will not get that much reactivity because that 2% of engagement has already gone to the next post because it's instant, gratification. Now, imagine if you posted something 6 weeks ago and you want to refer back to those 6 weeks. You're going to go to your email to take them back to that social post. You're not going to create another post 6 weeks later to inform them about the email or the post you made 6 weeks prior. So when you look at emails and their conversion rate, or I cannot even, let me not say conversion rate, let me say open rate. Their open rate, their view rate is between 15% to 25%. The click rate is about 1.36% for social media, it's 2.9% for email. That 2.9% compared to 1.36% is so huge because the 15% you're getting to 25% you're getting is not just in the 72 hours, it's in the lifespan. So if you have an Instagram post that you did 3 years ago and it's still in someone's email, they can still like that. I'm sure you've probably had an experience when somebody likes your Instagram post. You posted this like maybe last year and they like it. You're like, how did they find it? Because something they saw resurfaced. But the chances of that happening are slim unless you directed them there through your email. Then that's different, right? Conversion rate is about 3% for social media, it's 8% for email. The ROI that Iman was talking about, social media's ROI, look at the difference here. It's 180% compared to email, which is 3,600%. So the difference is huge between these two. And if you really think about your emails, think about how you post your emails, right? Because if I'm posting my emails daily, then I'm reaching out to people. But if I'm posting once a week, it's so much better than posting on social media every day. Marketers say that they would rather give up their social media accounts than give up their email contacts. There's a reason why. There's money in the email. There's you actually find money in your inbox. If you miss your inbox or if you miss your mailbox and there's a check there, you're gonna miss it if you didn't know it was coming, right? But if you check it on a regular basis, which we all do, we get that. For my email list, for us within the company, we're over like about 7,000 contacts, right? And out of those 7,000 contacts, we've only sent 5 emails this month. And when we look at the subscriber list, because you have to think about activity, it's not just sending an email. So we sent 5 emails. The first one was Happy Labor Day weekend. The next one was a podcast. The third one was a podcast. The fourth one is a workshop you see up here. The fifth one, what was the fifth one? The fifth one, oh yeah, it was a quiz as well, or the survey. Now, out of the 7,000 people that are on the list, when I do a time frame of at least 30 days, We have about 4,044 contacts that are active. The last one that was active was today at 11:51 a.m. Somebody was active at 2 a.m. this morning. We've only sent 5 emails. And out of those 5 emails, that's 57% of engagement with 5 emails. And in those emails, there are links to podcasts, to, you know, anything that you find there that you place, but those things are leading you to something. So when you send an email, don't think that email is gone to the wind. It's a message in a bottle that can reach the farthest end if you specifically know who you're sending it to and why you're sending it to them as well. Wanted to come to you, Chris, to ask if you have any questions, any contributions. Feel free to let us know, and wanted to pass it on to you. Thanks for being here.
Hi. Good morning, everybody. This is really very interesting. Obviously, it's my first time in here, and because I deal more with social media um, and email campaigns, working with my clients. So the information that you've provided, as far as like the ROI and everything, is just fascinating to me. I will say, and I know it was said in the previous room, that consistency is the key. No matter how you choose to market yourself or your client, consistency is what is going to take you to that next level. I've seen it. I've kind of accidentally tested it on myself. Um, so just making sure that you're getting out there and consistently um, just sharing the word, writing an article. I didn't even honestly realize that you could write articles on Google. So that's definitely on my list of things to do for myself and for my clients. So I'm super excited about all the information that you guys have provided. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. I'm so happy you're mentioning this because this feedback also let me know at what point to come in and what I should say so that it's also clear. Because I don't want to sound too technical. I don't want to sound too jargon-ish, because if I'm speaking that language and no one's understanding, then I'm not communicating, and I would not want to do that. That would be a waste of your time, and I wouldn't want to do that because I respect that. So if at any point in time anyone has a question and I didn't make any sense, please ask me and I'll try to rephrase myself and make sure that you understand it. So I thank you so much for that, Chris. Julie, we'd love to hear from you, my favorite person in the world. What's up? We'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. What do you think about social marketing, email marketing, and billboard marketing?
Well, thank you, Favor. Favor is my favorite person in the world. Make sure you follow him, click on his links. But it is okay. Social marketing, yeah, I know it's a necessity. I don't put as much effort into it as a lot of people because I try to make in real life contacts and build relationships. And what do they say about social media? I've got 1,000 friends, but no one to feed my dog. Huh? Huh? That's a good one, right? I don't know. If anybody's listening, let me know what you think about that. Um, Email marketing imperative. Email marketing is the foundation for everything. They are your biggest fans. They are the people that you have to focus on. And there's so many different ways to collect emails, opt-ins, as well as just doing a lot of things. Favor and I are doing a meetup on Monday night, and Meetup, the actual platform Meetup, collects emails for you. So it's been a wonderful additive to my marketing and business plan. And billboards, I think geo-targeting, Favor is such an expert on this, especially if you have a brick and mortar, real life business like billboards. You can't beat billboards because you have no option but to consume that content when you're on the road. So thanks, Fave.
Thanks, Jules. Appreciate you. Yeah. Yes, John, please go ahead.
Yeah, I make a lot more money off of social media than I do email. Oh, I mean, it's not even close. Far more on there. And right now, traffic wise, 2 episodes of my show, it's about 5 times more traffic with social media, organic, and so I do some paid for different. reason, but it's about 5 times more traffic to my website than email newsletters. Email newsletters, I believe in them, but I focus more on opens. However, when people say, and it's nothing, not a knock against Julie, but when people say social media is ineffective, I'm going to tell them I've proven them wrong every day. If they stop talking about themselves and stop trying to sell people and start developing an audience, they'll grow a lot faster and make a lot more money.
Push back, poke the bear, please.
Go
Permission
ahead.
to poke the bear. Well, you and I do two different things, wholly different things, right? For what you do, it's amazing, and I honestly sit at your feet just because I'm like, holy cow, you are like the Facebook king for sure. I don't know anyone that does it as well as you. But for me, there's a lot of other things because it's more service based. So like we just have two different avenues, but I think we're both right in what we do. Does that make sense? Did I poke the bear? Are you mad at me, John?
No, I'm not
I
mad
love
at you, Julie.
mad at
And
me.
I think it's totally different people, and you're correct. But people underplay, and there's a difference between doing social media and doing it smartly and effectively. And most people don't do it smartly and effectively, at least in this clubhouse space. They don't. They're like so busy posting. I'm gonna post another video about me. Well, guess what? It didn't work the first 15 times. It's not going to work the next 15 times.
True dat, true dat.
But when you discount that and you say if you don't do that, you'll be fine. I'd argue with you. There's a reason why the big companies are doing it, and they hire teams. And if you and just do a little Google search, go to Indeed and see how much they're paying for social media marketing managers in your area. You might be shocked.
That's a
I agree
fact.
with John.
Okay.
I'm going to add, if I can add real quick. I agree with John too. I think there's a break, and this is a whole different subject. I think it goes more into messaging. There's just a breaking point where you want people to be authentic. I just think in it, but it's usually around the product or service. So let's say if I was, if you knew me instead of knowing me for analytics, let's say that I sold raisins, and you knew me as Pierre, the raisin guy, the guy who always had those raisins for your oatmeal cookies or raisins for a snack, or always talking about grapes, and that means that my topics are usually going to be. I'm not going to say every time it's a raisin because I don't want to necessarily. Uh, Oversell myself, but the authenticity might be around how we're delivering those raisins to you, the customer. And I think this is where I think what John is ultimately saying, if I can boister a little bit about what he's saying, is that there's just it's a little bit of an art. But I think what people are doing is that they see all these things go viral or all these personal things take off, and there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, that's we're all human, but to put yourself as a campaign around your product or service, I think is primary. There's share of voice. That's actually a metric that talks about how you're mentioned across a particular platform. And to do that, you want to be known for your offering more than anything else. And I think that's a big part of this. And it also ties a little bit to um, not just with social media, but what we're talking about here in terms of email and billboard marketing. It's a breaking point where being you want authenticity and you want it around and Julie, I think you've brought this up as many times too. You want the authenticity around something that you are trying to do. It is a little bit of an art. And human beings, we tend to talk maybe just a little bit more about ourselves more than anything else. I think sometimes that's also a little bit of inexperience at play, because sometimes that's all you have if you're just offering a service and you haven't quite gotten the customer. But what the John was saying, what makes social media work commercially is that you talk about your offering or what you've done for a customer. Get those two things into play and get them into play quickly, and you'll start seeing results. And I'll land there so to let others speak.
No, that was spot on. No, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. It helps us to know these things faster, and the faster we're able to protect our intellectual property by posting on platforms we own, and then sharing what we own with people we distribute to on social media, and then give them insights and notifications push wise through email, then it's a whole new ball game from here. For me, before we wrap this up, because I told everyone we gotta wrap this up at the top of the hour. and I'm seeing somebody in the waiting room, so I need to make sure I can get to that. But this is what I want to say. I love that John mentioned about social media, because you can't really get an email. You can, by all means, you can get an email's contacts, but social media is a driving byproduct that allows you to get to those contacts because there's a community. Facebook has a community. Facebook.com is a website before it's an app. It's a domain first. You need it to be acquired. So if we're using those platforms, connecting those dots, then it's a good way for us to build. And if you're using social media correctly, like LinkedIn, and you're doing well and you're showing up with emails, then it's a big thing. If you have an email and it's a work email, not a Gmail, then it also shows how professional you are. We're going to go deeper and deeper into that. But the A100% factor that you should think about this room, if there's anything you want to leave with, is if you want to market to people who need your product, then find the communities that already talk about it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go to those places, go to Reddit, go to Quora, go to LinkedIn, go to groups, go find what people are doing. And then from there, you hear the questions they're asking, and then you show up and answer those questions on your property. And then you have a lamppost or a lighthouse that tells people, hey, come find me here because you're looking for this. This is a road. But if you don't have a road, there's no light, how am I going to drive through and know that there's no porthole or any ditch, in between the streets? So those are things to look out for. And I hope this helps each and every one of you. This has been a great room. Thank you so much, John, Pierre, Eman, Chris, and Julie for being here. I also see all my amazing friends there: Edward, Austin, Soma, Leap, Sackback, Ryan, Sabayik, Amira, Jason, John, Nikki, Joanne, Lucas, Brahim, Juan, Danny, and Pharaoh, or Pharaoh. Hope I said it correctly. You're all appreciated. This is a great room. We've had a lot of topics this week, so I wanted to make sure this one is not too long so I can give you back your Friday. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect with you. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. And I'm going to see you guys on Monday. Hey.